Good morning. Welcome to the Durham Police Department. This is an historic day. This is our first media briefing in our new briefing room. We had one when the building opened up, but it was out in the lobby, so we're definitely excited about this today. We're here to discuss sexual assault kit testing. And media partners, I'm going to ask if you can please find within yourselves to stay on topic during our question and answer session as well. My name is Will Glenn, the Public Affairs Manager for the Durham Police Department. I'm going to bring up the speakers in the following order. Durham Police Chief C.J. Davis will give a welcome, followed by Attorney General Josh Stein. And you may know, but Stein is spelled S-T-E-I-N, followed by District Attorney Santana DeBerry, S-A-N-T-A-N-A, S-E-T-A-N-A, D-E-B-E-R-Y, DeBerry, followed by Charlene Reese from Durham Crisis Response Center, and that is Reese, R-E-I-S-S. Following those remarks, we have a quick question and answer session, and we're going to ask again if we can please stay on topic for our topic today. Thank you. Chief Davis.
Good morning, everyone. It's certainly a pleasure to be here today and to really celebrate the progress that the Durham Police Department has made in sexual assault kit testing. I want to thank our Attorney General, Josh Stein, and our other partners here today, our DA, and Ms. Reese. Thank you so much for being here, and also to my team. I couldn't stand here today and celebrate anything without the hard work that they've done as it relates to processing sexual assault kits. So thank you very much, and at this time, our Attorney General will give us remarks.
Thank you, Chief Davis, for the introduction. Thank you for hosting us today. I want to thank District Attorney DeBerry and Ms. Reese for also participating. But more than appreciating your hosting, I want to thank you, Chief Davis, and the Durham Police Department for the impressive steps you have taken to testing untested sexual assault kits here in Durham. The crime of sexual assault is absolutely devastating. It is the most intimate violation a person can experience. And then after suffering through that crime, the person then submits for hours of evidence collection process and to produce what is in the sexual assault kit. We owe it to those survivors to test the kits. Because when we test the kits, we solve crimes. I'm here to thank Chief Davis, the Durham Police Department, for having in recent months forwarded 357 sexual assault kits for testing. Durham is now #2 city in the state of North Carolina in terms of moving kits off of the shelves where they do us no good and into the evidence analysis process where we can eventually solve crimes. This effort illustrates the dedication that the Durham Police Department has to never giving up on trying to achieve justice for its constituents. And it pays off. Just in recent weeks, Johnston County, there was a solving of a 47-year-old murder sexual assault. In Fayetteville, a 31-year-old rape was solved. In Winston-Salem, a 29-year-old rape was solved. These are all cold cases that are now very warm because of DNA. When we test kits, we will solve crimes. Of the more than 1,000 we've outsourced to date, we've had about a 10% hit rate, meaning that the evidence from those kits, 10% of the time, connect to a known individual, which gives law enforcement a lead that they can pursue to achieve justice. But we have more work to do. We did a count about a year ago, realized that there were about 15,000 untested sexual assault kits in the entire state, sitting on the shelves of local law enforcement. This is more than any other state in the nation. It's an unfortunate designation that we cannot accept, and we are working hard to address. We want to eliminate the backlog, and the folks at the State Crime Lab who are here today have, through their own initiative, raised $3 million in grant money. So we have started the process of outsourcing. But those funds are not sufficient. We need the legislature to step up. And I want to thank Governor Cooper for putting $6 million for testing kits in his budget. I want to thank the State House of Representatives for including that $6 million in its budget, which currently rests in the North Carolina Senate. And it is my hope and expectation that the Senate will agree with the House and we will finally get the money that we need to eliminate this backlog of untested sexual assault kits across the entire state. But we also have to make sure that this backlog never develops again. And to that end, we've done two things. One, we have developed and implemented a tracking system at the State Crime Lab. So we will know going forward precisely how many kits there are and where they are in the process. And not only will the criminal justice system know that, but the victims will know that too. And that transparency will create accountability. We are also championing a bill called the Survivor Act at the General Assembly, which not only has the appropriation in it, but it also puts a requirement on law enforcement that within 45 days of getting a reported sexual assault kit, that they will forward it to a lab for testing so that we can make sure we never find ourselves in this unfortunate place ever again. I want to thank and congratulate Chief Davis and District Attorney DeBerry for their commitment to keeping the people of Durham safe. And I want to highlight the great work of the scientists in my department at the State Crime Lab. They work tirelessly to analyze the DNA, not to necessarily seek conviction, not to necessarily seek acquittal, but to seek truth and justice. And that's what DNA can deliver to our criminal justice system. We know that by their hard work, the partnership and commitment of our General Assembly, and with law enforcement across the state, we can send a strong signal to the people of the state. A signal that has three main messages. One, to the rapists, no matter how long ago you committed your crime, we will analyze that case and pursue you until the end of time. To the survivors, we will not stop fighting for you by analyzing this evidence. And to the people of North Carolina, know that we will do everything in our power to keep everyone safe. Thank you. And now it's my honor to bring forward District Attorney DeBerry.
Good morning. My name is Satana DeBerry. I'm the Durham County District Attorney. Sexual assault victims are of the highest priority in my office. Next to homicide, they may be the most violent crimes committed against the people of Durham County. And unlike homicides, sexual assaults leave a living victim, a victim who is deeply traumatized, who may have to wait years for their case to come to court, mostly because it takes a very long time for physical evidence to be processed. I want to thank Chief Davis for taking this on as the highest priority in her office, and especially thank Captain Campbell and her team for setting goals for themselves to make sure that sexual assault victims of Durham County are treated with fairness, compassion, and that their cases are as quickly solved as possible. It is, for my team, we have reorganized our office to create a special victims team that works directly with the Special Victims Unit here at the Durham County Police Department, Durham City Police Department, my bad, that works directly with the Durham City Police Department so that we have good communication, good training, understanding of what the methods are that they use, and so that we move our cases to conviction. We're happy to say that we've gotten some hits. We don't have any convictions, but we are looking forward to continued work with the DPD.
Good morning. My name is Charlene Reese, and I work with the Durham Crisis Response Center. I coordinate the Sexual Assault Response Team, which is a multi-agency, multidisciplinary effort across the city and county to ensure that our community-wide response to sexual assault is coordinated, victim-centered, and trauma-informed. As a team, our agencies collaborate closely to ensure that survivors receive the help they need regardless of where they enter the system, whether they call our 24-hour helpline, if they report to law enforcement, they go to the hospital for a rape kit, they look for help from the courts, or they seek other services. We work together to try to minimize any additional trauma that survivors may experience when they choose to interact with the system. Durham Crisis Response Center is Durham's only agency providing comprehensive services for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. We serve all survivors who come to us. those who report their assault to law enforcement and those who choose not to, those who go to the hospital for forensic exams and those who, for many reasons, do not, survivors who were assaulted last night, and survivors who were victimized many years ago. We assist survivors with whatever they need to navigate their path to healing, including responding to the hospital when they arrive at the emergency department for a medical exam and evidence collection following an assault. Our advocates are there to explain and help navigate the process of the exam, provide resources and support, offer tissues and a hand to hold when needed. Our focus and our priority are the survivors as they begin to recover and to heal. When a survivor chooses to have a sexual assault kit done, it is not an easy process. Even with our very skilled sexual assault nurse examiners at Duke Health System, the examination and evidence collection take many hours. It is uncomfortable and it is invasive. It takes courage to submit one's body to that process and to tell the story of one's assault to a stranger. Sexual assault survivors agree to the evidence collection, expecting their kits to be tested. As a system, we need to respect and honor the courage of those survivors by testing all of their kits and keeping them informed at all stages of the process. Each kit represents a survivor's experience, and every survivor deserves respect. Durham Crisis Response Center has been an active, trusted partner of the Durham Police Department for many years. As the Special Victims Unit has been managing the backlog of kits, we have been working closely with them to ensure that the needs of survivors are at the center of the process. We will continue to support and advocate for survivors in any way that we can, and we are committed to working with the police department and the DA's office to minimize additional trauma and center the needs of the survivors as this process continues. Thank you.
This time we'll take questions. I failed to mention we have a mic in the back for those who are asking questions. We are streaming this live.
So how many kits did Durham Police have, like, sitting on the shelves that hadn't been tested?
We had 1,711.
And then 347 have been tested. Okay.
So what creates the backlog then? How do you keep this from happening in the future? I mean, when you go to different police departments around the state, why are there so many on the shelves?
I think each police department can speak for itself. What was clear is that there was no standard, that each department would apply its own rationale for when they would submit a case for testing and when they wouldn't. Now, to be fair, the DNA science wasn't as good 5, 10, 15 years ago as it is today. And so there was less likelihood you would actually be able to get a sample from the evidence. There were fewer people in the database, the CODIS database, and so you were less likely to get a hit by doing the analysis. So today, you're much more likely to get a DNA profile from the sample, and you're much more likely to then have a hit with a known individual in the database. The whole process is stronger, and that's why it has become so much more important that law enforcement test these kits going forward. That's what the Survivor Act requires, is that whenever anyone reports a sexual assault and submits to evidence collection, within 45 days, they will send that kit to the state crime lab where it can be analyzed. What we want to do is invest to eliminating the backlog, but simultaneously ensure that it never develops again.
How big of an issue is it when a survivor or somebody that comes forward, once they get tested on this rape kit, as it's called, do they ever decide, say, hey, actually, I don't want to submit this to the state? Does that happen very often?
The way it works is when someone submits to the kit, if they are not prepared to file a formal complaint, it will not be tested. The only time the kits are tested is when the person affirmatively says, I want to report a sexual assault and file a criminal complaint. It is, in terms of the the kits that are submitted to law enforcement, the vast majority of them are prepared to file a formal complaint. What I suspect is people who aren't prepared to do that never submit to the evidence collection process in the first place. I don't know if you, Charlene, if you want to add to that.
There is a process for anonymous reporting where someone can go to the hospital, have a kit done, and not report to the police. And at that point, the kit now it gets a tracking number. It's sent to a state warehouse, and it remains there at the moment indefinitely until that person wants to come forward. And the police handle it for chain of custody, but they don't know who the person is. They don't know anything about the case. And then at any point in the future, if the person decides, okay, I'm ready to report now, then that kit will be pulled from the warehouse and sent for testing, and then the case will go forward. If the person never wants to report, then that kit will stay there. People always have the choice never to go to law enforcement, but receive other services. So they can go to their local rape crisis center or sexual assault services like us and get services and never report to the police. So it's a wide range. I don't think that the majority of people do anonymous kits. There is a small percentage that do anonymous kits, but that's always an option.
And you guys said that Durham was ranked second in the state. Can you explain that statistic and who are they second to?
They've told me they're going to be first. The second is in terms of the number of kits that have been submitted to outsourcing through the state crime labs process within the last year. And Durham is second to Asheville. Winston-Salem is neck and neck with Durham. And so what we're excited about is the common commitment of law enforcement, whether it's here in Durham or it's in Asheville or it's in Winston-Salem. Charlotte has done a great job. Fayetteville has actually eliminated all untested kits in the entire county of Cumberland. So there is a recognition by law enforcement that this is a powerful tool to solve violent crimes that affected their communities. And Durham is right in line and leading the way and showing other jurisdictions this is what you can do to deliver justice to victims, to hold violent perpetrators accountable, and let the public know that you're doing everything you can to keep them safe.
Thank you all for coming today.